Michael, thanks for joining me. As you announced last week, Scorpion is set to recommence exploration work on its Mt Mulcahy copper project in WA. Now, amidst the backdrop of a strengthening copper market, it must be exciting to be dusting off such a strategic copper project.
Yeah, look, it is. Mt Mulcahy was the reason we originally went to that part of the Murchison many years ago. Now, it's a long time ago, probably around 2012, when Scorpion got involved and did a lot of work there, drilled out the South Limb Pod resource, assessed the other EM targets. There are many, there's multiple EM targets that are undrilled in the syncline. So, no, we're really pleased to have an opportunity in a much better copper market than we've seen, since then. We're looking forward to starting some work there in parallel with what we're doing with lithium and to a lesser extent gold in that large Pharos tenement package.
Now, you mentioned that Mt Mulcahy hosts a strategic resource in VMS stratigraphy, similar to the world-class Golden Grove asset held by 29Metals. I'd like to drill deeper into this comparison if I can. What similarities are you seeing?
It's a similar geological sequence within the sort of Murchison overall sort of greenstone belt, similar age of rocks, very similar geological setting in a relatively restricted volcanogenic VMS horizon. It's in a sedimentary rock that sort of sits between a couple of volcanic sequences that we think the prospective targets, and it's relatively underexplored. The South Limb Pod has been drilled, some early geochemical work that was done on the sort of related elements in that South Limb Pod show that it's got a very similar geochemical signature to Golden Grove, which is the largest VMS, Archean-hosted VMS deposit in Western Australia. And, we think that Mt Mulcahy rates really highly when compared to that deposit. And it's had very little exploration, as our recent announcement shows. We've barely scratched the surface of the target area.
Thanks, Michael. So looking ahead at Mt Mulcahy, what does your upcoming exploration activity look like?
First up, we'll do some downhole EM. We prepped some holes for that many years ago. We didn't complete the EM. We want to do some downhole EM because the surface VTEM, which is a helicopter-borne system, can only see to about 250 to 300 metres below the surface. It's been quite effective to identify those near-surface conductors, but now that we've drilled out South Limb Pod and we've got this diamond hole prepped at the base of that ore body, so about 300 metres below the surface, we can do some downhole EM to not only characterise the signature of the South Limb Pod, but also look adjacent to it to see what other conductors are there. And that information will help us program further drilling, which we'd hope to do in due course. And also it'll help us characterise the other undrilled VTEM conductors to see how strong they are and where to drill, and also give us guidance on how to structure a high-powered ground EM survey that will give us better penetration at depth.
And finally, just circling back to your lithium assets in WA, you recently confirmed further exploration targets at Puna. What's your exploration strategy at Puna, and what does the upcoming campaign look like in your view?
Well, the strategy is to look at all of the outcropping pegmatites. So when I use the word outcrop, it's a relative term. Outcrop is pretty poor, but there are some areas of subcrop that we're able to map. We can see the outcropping remnants of pegmatites, as we've previously announced. Some of these are simple pegmatites that are unmineralised. Others are complex pegmatites that are highly mineralised. Our upcoming program will be some mapping to further determine the extent of these outcropping pegmatites and a couple of different types. We'll do some surface soil geochemistry to determine the extensions of those pegmatite systems under cover. So the majority of the trend is covered. There's probably, out of the 30 or 40 strike kilometres of prospective granite greenstone contact, there's probably half a dozen kilometres where there's some outcrop. The rest of it's covered by soil. So we're going to have to use soil geochemistry to identify those extensions. That's really what the upcoming program's going to do. There'll also be some more drilling to follow up this sort of stratigraphic drilling we recently did, which only partially tested the highly fractionated pegmatites that are mineralised. So we'll be going back and doing some more RC drilling as well.
Thanks, Michael. Appreciate the update and all the best for your upcoming activities.
Great. Thanks, Alex. Look forward to catching up soon.